The written word can take many forms and come in many genres, and one of the most excruciating of these genres is the commencement speech. These speeches are the worst of all worlds. They're boring, trite, cliched, pointless, and also long. The average commencement speech is so boring and so stale that it makes the average priest's homily at Sunday Mass seem positively compelling by comparison, which, as someone who has gone to Sunday Mass every week for 37 years, I can say from experience, extensive experience, is a difficult thing to pull off. But every once in a while, there's an exception to this rule. On very, very, very rare occasion, somebody will show up to a graduation ceremony to deliver a commencement speech that is actually not god-awful. Sometimes it's not even bad. On the rarest of occasions, it's even kind of good. The comedian Jerry Seinfeld managed to accomplish this incredible feat at Duke University over the weekend. His speech got some attention from the news media, mainly because a few pro-Palestine students decided to walk out. But that's not what made it noteworthy. The noteworthy thing is that it was, as mentioned, a pretty good speech. Like, not the greatest speech ever given, but pretty good, especially by the standards of commencement speeches. He even had moments of real insight. And there's one such moment in particular that I want to play here and reflect on. Here it is. Listen.
Privilege is a word that has taken quite a beating lately. Privilege today seems to be the worst thing you can have. I would like to take a moment to defend it. Again, a lot of you are thinking, I can't believe they invited this guy. Too late. I say, use your privilege. You went to Duke. That is an unbelievable privilege. I now have an honorary doctorate of humane letters degree from Duke University. And if I can figure out a way to use that, I will. I haven't figured anything out yet. I think it's pretty much as useful in real life as this outfit I'm wearing. But so what? I'll take it. My point is we're embarrassed about things we should be proud of and proud of things we should be embarrassed about.
Now, he goes on in that clip to talk about the problems with AI, and then he offers some thoughts at the end about the value of work for its own sake. And by the way, the portion, the AI portion, during that portion, he does a little bit about Frankenstein that I thought was amusing, but it absolutely bombed in the crowd. Here it is.
Making fake brains is risky. Frankenstein proved that. He was so dumb, he thought a monster needed a sport jacket. It's not a wine tasting. We're terrorizing villagers. No one's going to tell you, I'm sorry, Mr. Stein, it's jackets only this evening.
I'm not saying it's the funniest joke anyone's ever told, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And certainly as far as commencement speech jokes go, if that's where the bar is set, by that comparison, it's pure comedic brilliance. But in any case, putting Frankenstein's dress code to the side, his point about privilege is important. And to flesh it out a bit, I'd say that there are two problems with the way that we view privilege in our culture. The first is that we often have a twisted view, of course, of what privilege is and who has it and how they got it. The left will, of course, claim that white heterosexual males have the most privilege, that we as a group are the epitome of privilege in all its forms. But from a systemic perspective, we actually have the least privilege. There are no policies that explicitly seek to help, favor, or in any way benefit white heterosexual males. Every other group in existence is served by the system and by its policies in an explicit way. Politicians will get up in front of cameras and they will specifically say that they want to help women and black people and Hispanics and Asians and gays and trans-identified people and everything else. They'll pass laws and they'll put in place programs meant to do exactly that. But no politician, even the supposedly conservative ones, will ever stand up and say that they want to specifically help straight white males. They certainly will not attempt to pass any law or create any program or enact any policy for that purpose. In fact, straight white males are so lacking in this sort of privilege that it's considered politically toxic to even say that you care about them. It would be controversial if any public figure were to get up and even say, yeah, and straight white males, they're people too. We should also care about them. Even that statement would be seen as highly provocative. And yet this is the one group that is called the most privileged, or even it is said they're the only privileged group, which is completely ludicrous and obviously backwards. But there is another kind of privilege, the kind that Seinfeld was referring to, that anyone can benefit from. There's privilege that virtually everyone in this country, just by living here, benefits from to some significant extent. And this is privilege in the sense of a special honor or pleasure or benefit. And these privileges can come two different ways. One is by our own effort. If you work hard and succeed, you'll gain privileges. A successful person has more of these kinds of privileges than an unsuccessful person. But as Seinfeld pointed out, our culture has taught us to be embarrassed, even of these privileges, the kinds that we earn, that we work towards, that we toil for. It is somehow shameful to go out and achieve something and then reap the benefits of that achievement. By many people, it is judged as more desirable and more beneficial to be seen as a pitiable creature than as a successful and accomplished one. This is a spiritual sickness rooted in the elevation of victimhood and the fetishization of suffering. Now, and this is how accomplishment has become something that you're accused of rather than admired for. People sneer at you and say, oh, you earned a lot of money and now you get to have nice things. You're just one of those people. And the successful person who also was raised in a culture that glamorizes victimhood will often respond by denying his own success or finding a way to make himself a victim too. But to Seinfeld's point, what he should say is, yeah, you're damn right. I succeeded. I earned a lot of money. That's great. Success is amazing. I'm a huge fan of it. Highly recommend. Thanks for noticing. But there's another kind of privilege. And this is the kind that people seem to be the most embarrassed of and ungrateful for and even angry about. That's the privilege that we did not personally earn, but was earned by those who came before us. The privilege of inheritance, which we all enjoy. The privilege given to us by our ancestors. The privilege to be Americans. This is the privilege that we are supposed to apologize for and try to repair and rectify. Of course, none of the people who seem to be embarrassed by this privilege actually want to forfeit it. As always, they lack the courage of their perverse convictions. They'd rather feast on the bounty provided for them while complaining about how it was provided and castigating those who provided it. This is the spiritual and mental sickness of victimhood and its glorification manifested in its most toxic form. And that's why it's a lot better to embrace our privilege, this kind of privilege, be proud of it. And most of all, grateful for it. Our ancestors suffered greatly to give us lives with comforts and luxuries that they would never know. The least we can do is be happy about it. And that's why all of those who have made privilege into a dirty word are today canceled. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.